But this is the way that families and loved ones coexist together.
Are these chatbots, or will these chatbots change the way we as humans communicate with each other?
There is a real debate surrounding this subject, and I can give sort of a quick example of that from another professor. He was asked to write a recommendation for one of his students, and the student wrote to him also with the prompt that he suggested the professor use for ChatGPT to write the recommendation. And if this is the way things develop, then the written part of a recommendation will just be ignored. And the only part that people will pay attention to is the numerical part that is usually in a recommendation.
So it'll be like, oh, a bot wrote this, so we can ignore it.
Right, exactly. And then the result will be that recommendation letters will no longer have a narrative component. They will just be numerical. And so in that sense, in this case at least, it seems as though ChatGPT is now coming up to our level, rather it's dragging us down to the level of computer numerical interaction. This is the way we grade each other through numbers instead of with qualitative words.
That's James Brousseau, who teaches philosophy at Pace University. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is NPR News.
This is CPR News. World leaders are gathering in Russia as that country's president exerts his influence on international matters. And that news is next here on Morning Edition. Just 2 weeks now until Election Day, and it will take some of your attention to fill out Colorado's ballot. There's a lot to decide this fall, and there's help with all of it at CPR.org. You'll see our conversations with voters and congressional candidates, and our very helpful voter guide with what you need to know about the ballot measures, and make sure you get your ballot back in on time. And that is at CPR.org. Across Colorado, another sunny day, staying cool and staying sunny, at least according to today's forecast around Denver. We had some rain and those blowing leaves yesterday. It'll be a little calmer today and in the mid-70s around Denver this afternoon, and again tomorrow. In Boulder, 73. In the mountains, 50s and 60s today and through the rest of the week. This is CPR News.
Support comes from the Colorado Lottery, reminding residents that the Colorado Lottery has given more than $4.2 billion back to protect open space, as well as fund parks, roadsides, and trails across the state. Learn more at playoncolorado.com. Support comes from Boulder Ensemble Theater and the Ballads of Paula Aguilar, a comedy about votes, sperm, and knowing one another. Now through November 3rd at the Dairy Arts Center. Tickets at petc.org.
A supposedly haunted mansion in Denver was the basis for the 1980 movie The Changeling. Writer Russell Hunter lived there in the 60s. He said doors opened and closed by themselves and walls shook. The secret stairway led Hunter to the diary of a 9-year-old boy whose family hid him in the attic because of his disability. There, he died before inheriting his grandfather's fortune, so the family masqueraded an orphan as their son, a changeling. In a seance, Hunter learned the boy was buried under the house with a gold medallion, which was found when the home at 13th Avenue was demolished. Russell Hunter then moved, but said the unexplained phenomena followed him, so he called a local priest for an exorcism, which seemed to have worked. Hunter's film The Changeling was a critical success, and still considered one of the best horror movies ever made. A Colorado postcard from Colorado Public Radio.
Support for NPR comes from the station and from ECMC Foundation, whose North Star is to eliminate equity gaps in post-secondary completion by 2040 so that underserved learners have greater opportunity for social and economic mobility. From the Lodestar Foundation, inspired by the principle that helping someone else less fortunate is a path to a happier, healthier, and more meaningful life. Learn more at lodestarfoundation.org. And from the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation at macfound.org.
It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Martinez.
And I'm Layla Falden. The U.S. and its allies often say Russia's unprovoked full-scale invasion of neighboring Ukraine in 2022 led
different story, one that'll be on display as President Vladimir Putin hosts leaders from many of the world's fastest developing economies in Russia this week.
Joining us to talk about it is NPR's Charles Means in Moscow. Welcome.
Hi there.
Hi, Charles. So, what is the summit and who's on the guest list?
Well, this is the latest incarnation of what was initially known as the BRICS group of developing nations. That's an acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. They've since added a plus to the list to show their growing roster, which includes new members such as Iran, Egypt, United Arab Emirates as of this year. And the group looks to go even further, with Turkey, Azerbaijan, Malaysia waiting for admission. All told, the Kremlin says 22 world leaders will be attending, including China's Xi Jinping and India's Narendra Modi. The Kremlin is billing this as the biggest foreign policy summit in Russian history, and they're all...
with a reminder that investing end-of-year IT budgets into an enterprise password manager can be smart spending for effective workplace security. Bitwarden.com.
I'm David Brancaccio in New York. There may be enough lithium to supply the world's demand for car batteries and a lot more sitting under southwestern Arkansas. The U.S. Geological Survey announced that finding yesterday. Marketplace's Henry Epps.
Lithium deposits under Arkansas could meet projected demand for electric vehicle batteries 9 times over, the USGS says. Lithium-ion batteries are in lots of devices, but they're especially important for EVs and hybrids. As more companies rushed into the EV market a few years ago, prices for the metal shot up. They've since dropped as more supplies came online and EV demand growth slowed down. But lithium is expected to be an important commodity for years to come, and right now the U.S. imports about a quarter of its lithium. The vast reserves under Arkansas could change that, and already companies like the fossil fuel giant ExxonMobil have set up operations to get at these deposits. That could be a challenge. The lithium under Arkansas is in brines, meaning it's mixed with water. Right now, lithium brines are usually brought to the surface, then put in large pools where the liquid evaporates. But Exxon and others hope to extract the lithium directly from the ground. Whether that can be done cheaply enough for them to turn a profit remains to be seen. I'm Henry Epp for Marketplace.
Last year, the Energy Department confirmed a separate vast source of lithium in the geothermal region near California's Salton Sea, southeast of Palm Springs. Financial markets, S&P futures are down 0.5%. General Motors stock is up 1% in pre-market trading now after it posted much better than expected profits this morning. It's charging good money for vehicles, not that many incentives, offsetting weakness in China. If you don't like your salon or barber, you just switch. But you ever tried that with a bank if the fees or service stink? Banking is sticky. This morning, federal regulators announced new open banking rules to both make your financial data more secure and portable. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is also hoping these changes will make it easier to try new financial apps or to cut off your data if you cancel. The head of the CFPB has seen these rules as a way to stop established financial firms from what he called weaponizing standards to their own advantage.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by the full-time Plus Flex MBA program at Indiana University's Kelley School of Business, the only 2-year MBA that lets you choose where you spend your second year. More at go.iu.edu/KelleyFlex. And by Rubrik. When cyber attacks put businesses at risk, Rubrik provides the power to bounce back fast. More at Rubrik.com. And by Clear Channel Outdoor, an out-of-home billboard company that offers data-driven advertising solutions for businesses big and small. Billboardsforbusiness.com.
Down to dating apps with big names like Match and Bumble struggling to keep people looking for connection happy, as well as investors. Some smaller rivals see an opportunity here, including a sapphic-focused dating and community app called Her. My colleague Nancy Marshall-Genzer spoke with Robin Exton, CEO and founder of Her.
Why did you launch Her? And I guess it was, about 10 years ago now?
When I very first started, there were so many platforms that you could use, at least web-based platforms, that were designed for straight people. I think at the time there was, like hundreds for straight people. There were probably like 50 that were designed for gay men, and there wasn't a single women.
FM and in Boulder at 99.9 FM. And to get details on all of the music you're listening to, go to our playlist at cpr.org. Hi, I'm Jean Inaba, your Halloween costume ready to go? Give it a trial run on October 27th. CPR Classical presents the family-friendly Colorado Symphony Spooktacular Concert. I'll be there. Scary music from movies, TV, and more. A ghastly good time for little monsters and their mummies, too. Put a big woo into your afternoon. Details at cprclassical.org.
This is CPR Classical, KVOD Lakeland Denver at 88.1 FM, on HD2 at 90.1 FM, and KVXO Fort Collins at 88.3 FM.
Support comes from DCPA Broadway, presenting the musical Hamilton, a story of passion, ambition, and the dawn of a new nation. Plays the Bush Theater now through November 24th. Tickets at denvercenter.org.
Colorado Public Radio's programs are sustained by gifts from members, including network partners Robert Connolly and Linda and Philip McCurdy. Thank you. There's information about giving levels on the support page at cpr.org.
Hi, I'm Gail Grace, chair of the music department at Pikes Peak State College, and I'm here to let you know that I love CPR classical music, and why wouldn't I? Because I'm an educator. And working at Pikes Peak State College for 24 years, I've had the pleasure of teaching all kinds of students, whether they're older and they're coming back to school or they're right out of high school. And it's been incredible to see their lives change because we really nurture them and help them with music.
Donald Trump continues to attack what he calls the enemy within. I'm Layla Fulton.
Enemy Martinez, an NPR investigation finds he's made more than 100 threats to investigate, prosecute, and jail perceived opponents, including private citizens. Also, Trump likes to show up to UFC events, find out how his long relationship with the sports league goes beyond just enjoying the fights and is key to reaching his political base. It's Tuesday, October 22nd. Major League Baseball's all-time single-season record holder for hits, Ichiro Suzuki, is 51 years old today. News is next.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman. Election Day is in 2 weeks. Former President Donald Trump is focusing much of his energy on swing states. NPR's Danielle Kurtzleben reports, in addition to his rallies, Trump has set up several events focused on specific demographic groups that he needs to win.
Trump had 3 North Carolina events Monday, including a press conference focusing on the recovery from Hurricane Helene. At that event, he repeated lies about how the Biden administration is spending FEMA money. Tuesday, Trump is scheduled to speak at a roundtable for Latino leaders at his golf club in Doral, Florida. Some polls show Trump having made gains with Latinos compared to past elections. He will then come back to North Carolina for a Tuesday evening rally in Greensboro. Thus far, he also has events scheduled for Georgia and Nevada this week, 2 more states where polls show he and Harris are neck and neck. Danielle Kurtzleben, NPR News, Charlotte.
Vice President Harris campaigned in 3 swing states yesterday: Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. She was joined by Republican and former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, who has endorsed Harris. Cheney says Trump is not fit to be president, and she says other Republicans who want to support Harris can do so privately.
I certainly have many Republicans who will say to me, I can't be public. They do worry about a whole range of things, including violence, but they'll do the right thing. And I would just remind people, if you're at all concerned, you can vote your conscience and not ever have to say a word to anybody. And there will be millions of Republicans who do that on November 5th.
Vice President Harris will sit for an interview today with NBC News. She'll also be questioned by Telemundo. That interview will air tomorrow. A federal judge in Baton Rouge is weighing whether a challenge to Louisiana's new 10 Commandments law can proceed. From member station WWNO, Aubrey Uhas reports on yesterday's hearing.
The plaintiffs, 9 Louisiana families, some religious, some not, argue their children will be harmed if the 10 Commandments are posted in every public school classroom, which a new law requires. Their attorneys have asked a judge to stop the law from taking effect while the case makes its way through the courts. But attorneys for the state argue plaintiffs don't have a case until the law takes effect in January. For that reason, they've asked the judge to dismiss the suit. If he throws out the case, plaintiffs can try again once the posters are hung up in schools. Plaintiffs' attorneys say their case